to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we are going to be speaking about the Manchester City and England player, John Stones. And for all of you super listeners out there, the latest Patreon-only episode on Johan Cruyff is out now. If you're not already a super listener, speak to an adult about clicking the link in the description of this episode. On Patreon, there are many episodes, including episodes on Manchester City, Luis Suarez, Roberto Carlos, Eric Cantona, Roy Keane, Cody Gakpo, Peter Schmeichel, 10 rounds of Cristiano Ronaldo, Zinedine Zidane, Peter Crouch, and many more. Also, all the super listeners on Patreon get to choose every single episode which is released on there. Right, before we get going with this episode properly, a couple of your messages sent in via www.footballforkidspodcast.com. The first one is from Vincent. It says, "Hi Darren, I listen to your podcast every night. My favourite episodes are the ones which you made on Pele, Ronaldo, Mbappe and Haaland. I'd love it if you could give a shout out to my friends at Earlwood Wanderers FC in Sydney, Australia. Please do an episode about John Stones." Well, Vincent, firstly, a massive shout out to you and everybody at Earlwood Wanderers FC in Sydney, Australia, and of course to your fantastic coaches who I'm sure do a wonderful job. And look at that, you asked for an episode on John Stones and your shout out randomly lands directly on an episode about John Stones. And the next one is from Leo. It says, "Hi Darren, my name is Leo. I'm 7 and I live on Lord Howe Island, Australia. I listen to your podcast every night. They are great." Well, thank you very much, Leo. "My favourite teams are Real Madrid, Boca Juniors, FC Barcelona and PSG. My favourite players are Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Neymar Jr, Mbappe, Suarez, Salah, Haaland, Bruno Fernandes and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Please do a show on Boca Juniors. Thanks so much, from Leo." And Leo finishes his message with an almighty Well, Leo, a massive shout out to you and everybody that you know. I really hope that you enjoy this episode. And also, every one of those players that you mentioned, I have made episodes on. So I hope that you've had the opportunity to check those out. Right then, let's get into this episode on the England and Manchester City player, John Stones. John Stones was born on the 28th of May in 1994, and he was born in a place called Barnsley, which is in Yorkshire, England. John, being a proud Yorkshireman and a Barnsley lad, had a talent and a drive for football from a young age, and he joined a Barnsley Youth Academy, which was when he was around 8 years old. The coaches that worked with John back in these days remember him well, and what they remember very well was of course his footballing abilities, but also his character and his sense of humour. John, at a young age, was really good at impressions, and he would impersonate different people who worked and trained at the club, and apparently he could do them really well. When John was at Barnsley, he trained hard and listened, ensuring he developed to become a great player, but he never stopped having fun or having a laugh. One of the things that the coaching staff remember about John was when he was a youngster, he would borrow the Barnsley mascot outfit and he would get inside it, making all of his teammates and the coaching staff laugh. John progressed through the Barnsley Academy, but like so many young up-and-coming players, he hadn't grown or filled out enough, something which we heard about in the Cole Palmer episode, and with lots of other players as well. When John Stones was around 15-16 years old, the Barnsley youth coaches held him back a year to give his body the chance to develop and grow. He needed to be a similar size to the other 15-16-year-old lads that he was playing with. And about a year or so later, John came back to play with the lads who were a similar age to him, and he had grown a lot in the space of a year. The coaches thought he'd fallen asleep in a greenhouse, he'd grown so much. Oh, and by the way, he's about 6'2", 6'3" now. Everyone grows at their own pace, and if you're ever worried about not being as tall or not being as big as some of your teammates, just think about John Stones and Cole Palmer. They went through the same thing, and look at them now. John spent somewhere around 8 years in the youth academy at Barnsley before making his professional senior debut in the Championship in 2012. In John's debut, it was quite an eventful one. There were 7 goals in the match. John Stones scored one of them, and the Barnsley keeper was sent off, and an outfield player had to go in goal. The game finished Barnsley 4, Rochdale 3. Not a game that John will forget in a hurry. The coaching team and John's teammates at this time could see how much potential he had as a player, and they had no doubts that he would go on to not only be a solid Premier League player, but also a top international player too. After many years with his hometown club of Barnsley, both as a youth academy player and a first team player, John was signed up by Everton for around £3 million, and this happened on the 31st of January. However, it took until August before John was to make his debut for the club, where Everton beat Stevenage in the League Cup. In the following month, John made his Premier League debut for Everton as they beat Chelsea 1-0 at home. In the following season, John signed a deal with Everton for over 5 years, but Lady Luck wasn't on his side, as he soon picked up an ankle injury, which would keep him away from the pitch for months. Nightmare stuff for any player, never mind a young, keen and enthusiastic one looking to impress in the Premier League. John Stones stayed committed to his football, got himself back to full fitness, and as time went by, he became a regular face at Goodison Park, and he made a big impact on the football pitch. Stepping away from John's club career for a moment, John has been representing his country of England since the under-19s, and in 2013 he was picked to be a part of a squad for England in the under-20 side for the Turkey Under-20s World Cup. Unfortunately, England finished bottom of their group and they didn't progress to the next stage. But the experience was valuable and something which would have done him a lot of good. John was being recognised by the England coaching staff at all levels. His determination and his engine was standing out. John Stones' work rate has always been one of the best in English football. In 2014, the England men's team were getting ready for the biggest competition in the world, and that was, of course, the Brazil 2014 FIFA World Cup. It was said that John was told to stay ready because he might make the squad. Although he didn't make the final squad, the fact that they were thinking about him and nearly choosing him showed how good this young player was. We'll return to John's international career in a short while. For now, it's back to Everton. By the 2015 to 2016 season, it was reported that John had said to Everton that he would like to leave the club. It's also reported that Everton were not keen on him doing so. At this time, Chelsea were keen on signing him up, and they made some quite lucrative offers. All of the offers that Chelsea made were refused. And on the 9th of August 2016, Manchester City signed him for an estimated £47.5 million. John's first goal for City came in 2017 in an FA Cup third round game where City beat West Ham 5-0 at the London Stadium. And since then, under the guidance of Pep Guardiola, John Stones has been successful at City and is a regular starting 11 player. As you know, being a defender isn't about scoring goals, even though John has scored some good ones. It's about keeping that ball away from your keeper and well away from your goal. Over the years, Stones has saved City's bacon on a number of occasions with game-saving tackles and clearances off the line. There was one goal line clearance that Stones made against Liverpool back in 2019, which practically won the league for City. John Stones always seems to be in the right place at the right time, and because of that, he's become one of the most wonderful defenders in English football. So far, at City, John Stones has won 5 Premier League titles. He's won the Champions League, 2 FA Cups, and bundles more. And by the looks of it, Stones will be part of yet another trophy lift this season, as Manchester City are well and truly in the title race and are off to yet another FA Cup final. John Stones hasn't just become a major part of the most successful football team in England at the moment, but he's become a must-have player for his country. He was a part of the Russia 2018 World Cup squad. He was a part of the England team that made it to the 2020 Euro final. And he was a regular player in the 2022 Qatar World Cup. This year, the year of 2024, John Stones will almost definitely be in the England squad for the Euros, and he will represent his country once again. So from the Barnsley youth days and the worries of not growing enough, to playing in the Premier League for Everton, winning the treble with City, representing his country and playing in 3 major football tournaments for England, John Stones is a player to look up to. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about John Stones and his career so far. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.